Isaiah Thomas. They say good things come in small packages. Well, Isaiah Thomas was anything but a good thing. He was an absolute force of nature. But with his 5'9" frame, he got overlooked time and again. Then in 2014, the Kings called him up for good. Finally, a chance to prove himself at the highest level. His sister, who had been battling cancer for years, lost her battle and passed away. Once again, coming off the bench, these were far from his best games statistically, but Thomas was determined to honor his sister and push through the pain. He hit 13 of 23 shots, including 7 of 12 from beyond the arc. He was still grieving, still angry, but he was also proud. He finished the year averaging 28.9 points per game, earning him the NBA's Most Improved Player award and a selection to the All-Star game. It was a remarkable turnaround for a player who had been written off by almost everyone. He had honored his sister, and he had done it in style. His story is one of resilience, determination, and love. He proved that no matter how big the obstacle, no matter how difficult the situation, with a big heart and an unstoppable spirit, anything is possible. He didn't just drop 53 points on the Heat that day. We shouldn't underestimate someone based on their size or background. And it teaches us that sometimes the greatest strength comes from our greatest pain. He showed them that what truly matters is the size of your heart, not your stature. To them, Isaiah Thomas is more than just the last pick in the draft. He's a legend. He's the embodiment of the phrase, "It's not the size that matters, but the heart." We should always strive to be the best version of ourselves, to honor those who inspire us, and to never let our adversities define us. He dropped 53 points on adversity, on grief, and on those who doubted him. Do it for those who believe in you. Do it for those who love you. And above all, do it with a heart full of passion and courage. Because in the end, it's not the size that matters, but the heart. He played with a ferocity that day that transcended basketball. It was a masterclass in channeling pain into power. Looking back, it's hard to imagine that anyone could play so well under such difficult circumstances. But that's just who Thomas was. He was a fighter. He was someone who used his pain to fuel his game, scored a career-high 53 points, leading the Celtics to a 106-97 victory. He became the first player in NBA history to score 50 points in a playoff game while shooting at least 50% from the field and 50% from three-point range. He made a statement that day, proving that his sister wasn't just a part of his life, she was a part of his soul. Despite playing for several teams in the NBA, it's his time in Boston that fans remember him for most. He wasn't just a basketball player to them. He was a symbol of courage, a reflection of their own struggles, and a reminder that sometimes the smallest among us have the biggest hearts. His teammates rallied around him, supporting him through the tough times and helping him channel his grief into his game. On April 2017, just 2 weeks after his sister's passing, the Celtics took on the Miami Heat in Game 3 of their first-round playoff series. This game was special. It was what would have been his sister's 24th birthday. But considering everything he was going through, they were nothing short of heroic. It was clear that his sister's passing had deeply affected him. In the post-game interview, he couldn't hold back his tears. The reporter asked him about his performance, and all he could say was, "I'm just happy to be here. She would want me to keep playing." It was clear that the pain of losing his sister ran deep. This devastating loss shook Thomas to his core. It was talk that he might not play again, but he shocked everyone by returning to action just 2 days later against the Miami Heat. And in the midst of his grief, he dropped 17 points and handed out 9 assists in 29 minutes off the bench. For 3 seasons, Thomas showed flashes of brilliance, but he also battled injuries, setbacks, and disappointment. His numbers weren't bad, but nothing spectacular either. As his 3rd season came to a close, Thomas found himself out of favor with the Kings once again. They waived him in mid-February 2017, leaving him without a team in the middle of the season. From being the last pick in the NBA draft to dropping 53 points in the playoffs, this is the incredible story of the heart-over-height NBA player Isaiah Thomas. At just 18 years old, Isaiah Thomas had accomplished something very few could ever dream of. He was about to play in the NBA. The Washington Wizards selected him as the 60th and final pick in the 2011 draft. This made him the last overall pick, or the so-called Mr. Irrelevant. Not exactly a title you'd expect to lead to greatness. In fact, most players taken this late in the draft end up playing overseas or in the D-League. They become what's known as a two-way player, shuttling back and forth between the NBA and minor leagues. That was probably the best-case scenario for Thomas. But his career started even worse than that. After his rookie season, the Wizards waived Thomas, and he bounced around to the Maine Red Claws in the D-League and the Sacramento Kings. It looked like it was the end of the road for him. Being waived in the middle of the season meant that not only did he not have a job, he also didn't qualify for a championship ring, even if his team made it to the finals. After being passed over by all 30 teams, Thomas finally signed with the Boston Celtics on March 2017, and there was one thing he was desperate for: a chance to prove himself. He wanted to show everyone what he could do, but fate had other plans. Just 4 games into his tenure with the Celtics, tragedy struck. And then, in the following game, in the midst of his grief, he scored 19 points and dished out another 9 assists. For many people, this kind of loss would be too much to bear, let alone enough to make you miss games. Thomas channeled all his emotions into the game and played like never before. In the post-game interview, Thomas's emotions got the better of him. In the end, the Celtics lost the series to the Heat in 7 games. But Thomas's performance that season didn't go unnoticed. And while Thomas may have been small in stature, he was massive in heart. Now, here's what's interesting about his legacy. When you think about it, his impact goes beyond the numbers. And while some may argue about his stats or question his draft position, none can deny the impact he had on the court and in the hearts of the people of Boston. And that's why when you walk through the streets of Boston, you'll find his number 4 hanging in the rafters, a constant reminder of the little guy who played with a giant's heart. But what does Thomas's story teach us? It teaches us that we shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Thomas was underestimated because of his size. He was doubted because he was the last pick in the draft. But he proved them wrong. If there's anything we can take away from Thomas's story, it's that we should never give up, no matter how difficult our circumstances are. So the next time you face a challenge that seems too big for you, remember the words of the great Isaiah Thomas. Don't just do it for yourself. That's all for today. Till next time, keep playing with heart.